Urot na!
The shocking truth about the Manila Trench.
Nobody do it like you. Hello, Gina Espartero. Good morning. Where are you from? I'm from Philippines. Let's talk about life. Philippines is always shaking by the earthquake. Nawa, oy! Let's eat. I'm eating my breakfast. Good morning, 14 viewers.
megaquake. What if I told you that beneath the pristine waters off the western coast of the Philippines lurks a geological time bomb that scientists say could unleash one of the deadliest earthquakes in modern history? The Manila Trench doesn't make headlines like the San Andreas Fault or Japan's notorious subduction zone.
140.
This underwater canyon stretching along the western edge of the Philippines
140.
could be hiding one of the Earth's most dangerous seismic threats.
240 lang.
This deep oceanic trench runs roughly north-south for about 1,500 kilometers from Taiwan all the way down to Mindoro in the Philippines, defining the boundary where two of Earth's massive tectonic plates meet in a geological standoff. To understand why this matters, we need to explore what makes the Manila Trench particularly concerning to scientists
What's
and
wedding?
seismologists.
Something respawning, bro.
What do you mean by wedding?
Our city currently has a population of 9. A farmer? I definitely need you. Aha! We have 21 now. Next, I
That's
build
it.
houses.
I have
2 weekends I
rice,
spend money on it. So I'll just build simple houses.
seaweeds, and bola-bola.
Limited
and
funds.
chicharon.
Let's make do with this dirt road first. Agriculture's important.
Unlike typical fault lines where plates slide horizontally past each other, the Manila Trench marks a subduction zone, a place where one tectonic plate is being forced beneath another in a slow-motion collision that's been ongoing for millions of years. Specifically, the Eurasian plate, which includes the continental shelf of Southeast Asia, is diving underneath the Philippine Sea plate at various rates, up to 100 millimeters per year in some sections. This subduction process is essentially Earth's recycling system for its crust. As one plate descends beneath another, tremendous forces build up where these plates lock against each other.
Are in
When that
Philippines?
locking
Yes,
up
I'm in
eventually
Philippines.
gives way,
Let's eat.
The sudden release of energy creates an earthquake.
In
And
Cebu,
in
always
subduction
fun.
zones like
Have
the Manila
earthquake.
Trench, these aren't just any earthquakes. They're potentially the largest our planet can produce. What's particularly troubling about the Manila Trench is what scientists call its seismic silence. Despite the high convergence rates between these massive plates, the historical record shows a surprising lack of major earthquakes along this structure. Since the Spanish colonization of the Philippines in the 1560s, there have been no recorded earthquakes exceeding magnitude 7.6 originating from this trench. This absence of major seismic events isn't good news, quite the opposite. It suggests what seismologists call a seismic gap, where strain energy has been accumulating without release for centuries. Think of it like stretching a rubber band. The longer you pull without letting go, the more energy gets stored, and the more violent the snap when it finally breaks. The scientific community has been conducting extensive research on this concerning phenomenon. Advanced seafloor mapping, GPS measurements, and computer modeling all suggest that the Manila Trench is accumulating what's called slip deficit. The difference between how much the plates should be moving past each other based on their known speeds, and how much they're actually moving. This deficit represents stored energy that will eventually be released. Recent studies estimate that segments of the Manila Trench could potentially generate earthquakes with magnitudes between 8.5 and potentially exceeding 9.0 on the Richter scale. For context, the devastating 2011 Tohoku earthquake that triggered the Fukushima disaster was a magnitude 9.0.
Where are you from?
The difference between each magnitude is exponential. A magnitude 9.0 earthquake releases approximately 32 times more energy than a magnitude 8.0. When we compare the Manila Trench to other subduction zones around the Pacific's Ring of Fire, the similarities become even more concerning. The geological characteristics of the Manila Trench share features with the Sumatra Andaman subduction zone, which produced the catastrophic 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami that killed over 230,000 people across 14 countries. Both zones have high convergent rates, extended periods of seismic quiescence, and the potential for rupturing across multiple segments simultaneously. What makes subduction zone earthquakes particularly destructive isn't just their magnitude, but their additional tsunami-generating potential. When a section of seafloor suddenly thrusts upward during a subduction earthquake, it displaces an enormous volume of water, This displacement travels as a series of waves that can cross entire ocean basins, growing taller as they approach shallower coastal waters. For the Philippines, a nation of over 7,600 islands with countless coastal communities, this dual threat of extreme ground shaking and tsunami waves represents a worst-case scenario. The science behind predicting exactly when such an earthquake might occur remains imperfect. Seismologists can identify the potential for large earthquakes based on accumulated strain, but pinpointing the timing remains impossible. This uncertainty is partly what makes the Manila Trench so concerning. We know the threat exists, but not when it will materialize. To better understand this threat, researchers are deploying increasingly sophisticated technologies. Underwater seismometers monitor the faintest movements along the trench. GPS stations throughout the Philippines track subtle shifts in the Earth's crust that might indicate changing stress patterns. Satellite observations measure the broader deformation of land masses around the subduction zone. All of these data points help scientists refine their models and improve our understanding of the potential hazard. There's also fascinating research being done on ancient tsunami deposits. Layers of sand and debris carried inland by prehistoric tsunamis and coastal sediments. These geological clues help scientists reconstruct the timeline of past events and estimate recurring intervals. Some studies suggest the Manila Trench may produce major earthquakes on cycles spanning hundreds to 1,000 years, placing us well within the window for another major event. The earthquake potential of the Manila Trench doesn't exist in isolation. It's part of a complex network of fault systems in the Philippines, including the Philippine Fault Zone that cuts through many of the country's major islands. This creates scenarios where a major subduction zone earthquake could trigger movement along these other fault systems, potentially causing a cascade of seismic events affecting multiple regions simultaneously. In a Manila Trench rupture scenario, the immediate impact zone would experience violent ground motion lasting not seconds, but minutes. The longer an earthquake shakes, the more cumulative damage it causes. Buildings designed to withstand great shaking begin to fatigue and ultimately fail during prolonged events. This extended duration is a hallmark of megathrust earthquakes and dramatically increases their destructive potential.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I keep track of all my tasks. I start my brain dumping everything I need to get done in a list view. Next, I set a priority and a due date to keep things on track. I create custom statuses to organize my progress exactly how I want. I like to add the action items field so AI can show me the next steps. I have my teammates as watchers, so they're in the loop. ClickUp makes work easy, from personal projects to running a multi-billion-dollar company. Click the link below to create your workspace for free.
The intensity of ground shaking would vary significantly across the Philippines based on distance from the rupture and local geological conditions. Western coastal regions of Luzon would likely experience the most severe effects, with modified Mercalli intensity ratings potentially reaching 9 or 10, levels at which even well-designed structures sustain heavy damage. Metro Manila, despite being farther from the trench, faces amplified risks due to portions of the city being built on soft sediments that magnify seismic waves, a phenomenon known as soil amplification. But the earthquake itself is just the beginning. Within minutes of the main shock, coastal communities would face an even more urgent threat. tsunami waves generated by the sudden displacement of the ocean floor. Computer simulations suggest that in a worst-case scenario, tsunami waves could reach western Philippine coastlines in as little as 15 to 30 minutes, giving residents precious little time to evacuate to higher ground. The tsunami waves wouldn't arrive as the dramatic walls of water often depicted in movies. Instead, they typically begin as a rapid, abnormal rise in water level, like an incredibly fast climb that keeps coming in and doesn't stop. The first wave isn't always the largest. Subsequent waves can arrive hours apart and be even more destructive. Modeling indicates that tsunami heights could range from 3 meters to potentially over 10 meters in some coastal areas of western Luzon, Palawan, and Mindoro. More
Wala ko
than enough
yung tubig.
devastation.
Wala kay tubig.
Mangkuan mo?
Deep below the Pacific Ocean lies
Luyo.
Sengan DLC aw na.
Melvin. Severino?
Dili ni kanang Garton Nilse kaila ka na.
Babag.
Kiri-kiri no. Kanang naigit no. Ya ang pangan dire.
Oo ka ba? Basin Severino?
Severino Cesar. Ang balay niya kini Luyo.
Luyo.
Wala rin may linyada na tubig dahil. Yo.
Hello,
When the
Jimmy.
earth quakes, all hell breaks loose.
That's it.
They strike with lightning speed, a huge bolt of destruction. These forces baffle experts who are on a desperate mission to predict when and where the next big one will hit.
With each earthquake, you have things that you didn't predict before.
We'll circle the globe, examining significant earthquakes of our time, each more powerful than the last, each with its own compelling mysteries, each propelling us towards a projected mega disaster, a monster quake that could rock our world.
Jimmy. That's it. Hi. Taga saan ka?
Earthquakes are one of the most destructive and unpredictable forces on the planet. Without warning, solid ground cracks, shifts and buckles, threatening anything in its path.
Gutom kayo.
It's
Argentina,
estimated that several million earthquakes shake the planet every year. Most are barely detectable tremors, but at least once a year, somewhere on the globe, a major event strikes. Most earthquakes are created by movements of titanic slabs of the Earth's crust, called tectonic plates. Enormous pressure builds as the plates strain against each other. When plates slide past each other, a strike-slip earthquake forms.
What?
When
What's
plates
that?
collide head-on and one slides under the other, a thrust earthquake
Manila?
occurs. In both cases, the Earth's crust tears and snaps, releasing a giant burst of seismic force. The amount of energy released by an earthquake is known as its magnitude. The higher the magnitude, the more energy released. An earthquake of magnitude 8 or higher releases as much energy as 1 billion tons of TNT, or 67,000 Hiroshima bombs.
Even at an early age, we can spot the signs of higher intelligence.
Aha! That should work.
Earthquakes' destructive energy has cost almost
Bye-bye.
8 million lives in the last 1,000 years. The fatality rate is rising as populations in high-risk areas increase dramatically.
And it's kind of an inevitable shift as people cluster more and more. The largest cities continue to grow larger and larger.
Today, there are 17 cities jammed with more than 10 million people. 140 other metropolitan areas have populations topping 2 million. More than half of these are within striking distance of a major fault line, placing hundreds of millions directly in the line of fire.
A lot of times, we are our own worst enemies in terms of where we build and how we build these cities.
It's only a matter of time before another city is hit by a devastating earthquake. To prepare for the inevitable future, it's essential to learn from the past. October 17, 1989, San Francisco, California. For 15 horrific seconds, the city by the bay is rocked by a magnitude 6.9 earthquake. The epicenter is near a mountain in Santa Clara County called Loma Prieta.
Everybody store and help them get out.
Suburbs close to the mountain suffer serious damage. The ground splits open in huge gashes, hundreds of homes are thrown off their foundations, and small communities are ripped apart.
52 people were dead.
But bizarrely, the greatest devastation and loss of life is 97 kilometers to the north in Oakland and San Francisco. The quake brings down a section of Oakland's Cypress Expressway, turning a busy freeway into a graveyard. Oakland firefighter Lorenzo Frediani is one of the first to respond.
It was a horrible scene. It was such a large-scale disaster. Seeing huge pieces of the freeway on top of cars, fires beginning to erupt, everyone just yelling and screaming for help.
Frediani and other rescuers race to find survivors. They fear the worst, that thousands are dead under the shattered remains of the expressway.
This was at 5 o'clock approximately. This is its peak time. There should be bumper to bumper traffic. So when I saw the Cypress unfold in front of me, all I could think about was how many thousands of people would be dead.
But amidst the horror, there is a life-saving stroke of luck. The earthquake hit as the two local baseball teams, the San Francisco Giants and the Oakland Athletics, faced off in the World Series. Millions are watching the game, and traffic is much lighter than usual.
The fact that we had a ball game between the two Bay Area teams easily saved thousands of lives.
As rescuers desperately try to free those trapped on the Cypress Expressway, another disaster unfolds across the bay. Nearly 200 buildings in the Marina District are severely damaged or completely destroyed. Fires started by broken gas mains add to the damage and panic. Stunned residents flee into the streets, but even as the marina suffers catastrophic damage, neighborhoods surrounding it escape almost unscathed. Seismologists like Jack Boatwright struggle to understand the quake's selective destruction.
The ground motion and damage in the marina was a surprise not just to the lay people, it was also a surprise to seismologists.
The earthquake seemed to defy logic. It targeted two specific areas, 97 kilometers from the epicenter, leaving most of the Bay Area untouched. Boatwright and his colleagues set out to solve this mystery by going back to basics. When a fault ruptures, spherical waves of energy are released, traveling through the ground until they reach the surface. Like any other kind of wave, they can bend, reflect, or join together to make bigger waves. Oakland and the Marina District were unlucky enough to be hit by a seismic double T, two sets of waves that joined together. One set traveled directly from the earthquake center to the surface. Another traveled deep into the earth
then bounced off the boundary between the solid crust and the molten layer beneath it. The reflected waves reached the surface 97 kilometers away from their source, directly under Oakland and the Marina District.
Eat your cheese whiz para strong. Cheese whiz for the strength to do more.
I'll be a doctor like you, Mama.
Kahit wala ka na, they will be okay. Sa tulong ng Plan B with BDO Life. Ikaw, may Plan B ka na ba?
This seismic double whammy was bad enough, but it became much worse when combined with a fatal mistake made by the city's forefathers. 100 years ago, this land didn't exist. As the Bay Area rapidly expanded, stretches of ocean became beachfront property. The shallow edges of the bay were filled in with sand and debris.
The difficulty is these very fine and clean sands. When an earthquake occurs and you start treating them, there's really nothing binding the sand together. It becomes actually a liquid.
Liquefaction is a deadly side effect of many large earthquakes.
Ah! Itlog?
Yes.
Saan tray?
Saan ka size?
Large.
Look.
Ayun. Kanina, bagulong.
Wala naman. Walang XL?
Wala.
Sige. Ito lang large.
480.
Hindi mabilang ang araw na naging espesyal. With the best-tasting Magnolia Gold Label Vanilla Ice Cream. Magnolia, 100 taon na at hihigit pa.
Work to the power of X.